Yeah, hello guys, welcome back to the Heritage Recreations YouTube channel. Today we're going to feature a little bit more on the VR HSV Clubsport build number 461 that we purchased late last year. This vehicle was initially going to be wrecked and we didn't have the heart to see that happen, so we ended up purchasing that car. And there was a few things missing when we first bought the car, including the side skirts, the grille and the level 3 dash cluster. So in the last few months, we tracked down all genuine stuff in order to enable this car to be rebuilt. And come Thursday afternoon this week, we've actually got the crash repair coming out here to have a look at the car with a plan moving forward. So today we're just going to go over the car, show you the things that we've managed to purchase for it, and a few of the things we're anticipating on getting the car up to speed as we move forward. This won't be a full nut and bolt rotisserie restoration. The reason for that is we really don't want to over-capitalise on the value of the car. At the end of the day, it's a standard automatic VR Clubsport, not the most desired of the HSV range. However, given the fact it was a matching numbers car, we didn't have the heart to see it being wrecked. So stand by, we'll go through the bits and pieces we've got so far, and if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. So the first thing we'll go through with the restoration of this vehicle is the parts we've been able to track down for the restoration and rebuild. The first thing we got was this HSV Clubsport grille. We actually got two of these for the VR. One of them had a missing part at this top section here. So that's all been re-welded. And then we tracked down this one, which was obviously reasonably damage free. It's got a little part missing. It's got one here, missing one there. So that lug underneath will be repaired at some stage and we'll put a new lug in there. But apart from that, the rest of the grille is actually in really good condition. With a little bit of sanding back, some priming and painting, it's actually almost ready to be fitted. The difference between the VR and the VS Clubsport grille is actually this center bar section here. So that part there is a lot thinner than what the VS Clubsport grille is. The other thing is that the VS Clubsport grille comes all the way, almost halfway to this section here. So there's actually quite clear differences between both grills. So we made sure we got the correct one for this car. The other difference between the VR and VS is in this little section here, in this recess section there, there's actually supposed to be a HSV embossing in there in the VS Clubsport. I've actually got the old stock Senator grill here to show you what I mean. You can see it there, the HSV embossed logo. However, if you're in the market for a grill for your car and you're not too sure whether it's original or not, there's a couple of things to look for. First and foremost, if it's for VR and VS, make sure it's made out of plastic. That's the first thing, because a lot of the remade stuff is made out of fiberglass, and make sure it's got these location lugs on it because the remanufactured ones don't have that. If you've got both of those things in a grill, the likelihood is that it'll be original. Now moving on to the other part that we had to track down was actually the side skirts. Now, as people that own these cars know, side skirts are quite hard to locate. So these ones here, they're genuine. The way you can generally tell whether a genuine HSV side skirt, two things. The normal remanufactured ones are a one piece. However, in saying that, there are some companies that are doing two-piece ones now. But just inside, you can see it's got HSV and Quest marked inside the side skirt itself. So the end caps for this side skirt have actually been repaired at some stage. I think my friend Troy White did it in Queensland before he sent it down here, but they are really, really well repaired. And one thing you sort of find with the end caps is you actually look at that hole there. I'll just put them side by side. Just inside there, you'll notice that some of them advertised will actually have that part torn off of it. I think the reason why is when these are fitted to the car, there's a screw behind here. Now, what normally sits over the top of it is a grey HSV gel decal. On the front, you've got a screw section there. On the back, you've got a screw section there. And underneath there, there's a screw. I think what's happening is people don't know that that screw's there, so they think like the side, which is Sikaflexed on at the top, they probably clear that section, undo the screw there, undo the screw underneath, and then just pull it clean off. And that breaks that section there, leaving the screw still attached to the car. So these ones, we're quite lucky. Troy gave us a couple of decent sets for this rebuild. He did do a minor repair. If you actually have a look at the repair he's done on that whole section was missing there. You can see that he's got it repaired inside there, but you can see the way he's actually got the curvature there is spot on. I'll see if I can get the angle of this one in. So you can see he's done a wonderful job of actually getting that right. So when the crash repairer actually sands it back and fits it to the car, he'll be able to determine where the holes need to go, and he'll be able to re-drill so that the bumper bar will meet up with the side skirt, or sorry, the bottom section of the front guard will meet up with the side skirt and be able to fit in place properly without there being too much of a gap. So now I'll move on to the other things we've actually had done in the last few weeks. So this vehicle, as we said, it was pulled apart. There were screws and bits and pieces everywhere. So we actually got these all redone. So they've been done in a gold zinc. All these screws have been done in a black zinc. And then a lot of the front end screws and the headlight brackets, they're already done in a silver zinc. So if you actually have a look here, top of the struts, these have all been redone as well. We've fitted those back onto the car. And when we strip the engine out, we'll send another load of screws off to the plater to get redone as well. As a result of the collision of this car, the rad support was hit on this side. And as you can see, it's actually caused quite a bit of damage to the front tag. So we ended up considering whether we replace that tag or not, or whether that one is just smoothed out and put back into place. So given the fact that this car is a HSV Clubsport, we wanted to get it done as well as possible. We actually sent off the dimensions, and we've actually got a brand new plate done for the car. So there it is there, as you can see. It's a completely new original plate. So this one will come off. We'll keep that with the car, and then the new one will get put on. And the likelihood of anyone ever seeing that is unlikely, because it actually sits underneath the headlight. But knowing there was damage, we wanted this car to go back to as good a condition as possible, which meant we wanted to get that plate remanufactured. Now, asking the legalities of that, in South Australia, that General Motors Holden automotive plate is a Holden part. So that can be remanufactured, and as long as it's going on the correct car, can be fitted to the correct car. So if we actually have a look at the firewall here, you've actually got the Australian Design Rules plate just there. Over that side, we've actually got the build plate, and then we've got the HSV build plate in the center there. They've never been off this car. They're still on the car, and even the tag at the front hasn't been off either. It's just been damaged. So this plate here is the ADR plate, and that plate cannot be remanufactured lawfully and attached to a car. So the front one, yes, we've had it remanufactured. However, that can legally be attached to the car. So with the engine, we actually had the engine covers on the wrong way. So I'll just describe that to you. You'll see advertised a lot of the 304 powered cars, whether it be a Caprice, a 304 BT1 VN or a VP. They all come with the same throttle cover, and they've also got these covers here. Now what people sometimes do is actually put them on back to front, and I've seen a lot of chats on Facebook where people get quite upset about it. But on the back of these covers, they're actually cast with a gap on the back of them. So if you actually turn them around, there's actually quite a big hole in this section here. If they're around the right way, you can't see anything at all except for where it's got the line at the bottom where it meets in with the top of the throttle cover. So those are on the right way now, which is one of the bugbears of mine. And yes, they'll come off when this engine comes out anyway, but just for shits and giggles, we thought we'd get them put in the right location. So I got a good friend of ours, Peter Forster. He's seen the car and he asked me if we had run it, but no, we hadn't, because the car has come to us exactly like this. So Peter's been kind enough to donate some of his time and his knowledge, and he's actually going to fire up the engine to see if it's actually got a knocking noise or whether the actual engine itself needs anything repaired on it. Because like we discussed earlier, we're about saving this car, not doing a full nut and bolt restoration. And one thing we're conscious of, given that the fact it's a base model VR HSV Clubsport, we don't want to over-capitalise in the build. So this vehicle has been purchased to save it, not to have it running at a car show. Yes, it will be a good, clean car and it will be built to a high standard. However, it's not going to be a full rotisserie restoration vehicle. So with that in mind, we will check over the engine. The water pump will likely be replaced, all the ancillary stuff, so water pump, thermostat housing. We'll also probably change the power steering, or at least check the power steering pump on it. That'll get checked and replaced. And obviously we'll put in new engine mounts for it. The transmission mount will get checked and likely replaced. So all the things which are likely to fail, they'll be replaced on the car. However, if the engine is running properly, then we won't be replacing much of the engine itself. We actually won't be doing a rebuild, and that'll save some of the cost for the rebuild of this car. A couple of things that we will be doing is the hood liner, we'll be getting that replaced. We'll actually change the engine covers back to the original colour. Where this Peter Brock insignia is, there's actually a line underneath that. When the throttle cover's off, you can actually see the indentation underneath. So that all needs to be stripped back, because originally it would have had the older style line emblem for the throttle cover. So that'll be restored back to the way it should be. And then obviously we'll check the suspension. The likelihood is all the bushes will be replaced on it, and also the struts. So they will come back looking like new as well. So that's sort of the engine bay sorted out for now, and we'll move on to the interior. Okay, now we're moving to the interior of the VR Clubsport. As you can see, the level 3 cluster is missing from this car. However, importantly, it's got its original Nardi steering wheel. As a lot of people that own VR HSVs know, that if the Nardi steering wheel is missing, we're forking out a minimum of $1,200 to replace the steering wheel, up to about $2,000 for a really, really good condition one. As you can see there, the actual horn pad itself has been autographed by Craig Lowndes. We arranged to have that done to this car. The reason for that is Lowndesy in 1994 came second in his first attempt at Bathurst, and he later won a championship, I think it was 1996, in the VR/VS HSV. So his signature on this car is quite relevant. Now, the level 3 cluster, as we discussed earlier, that was taken out of this vehicle and sold. We tracked down a replacement, and that's up getting recalibrated at the moment and making sure that all the LCD screens at the bottom work properly. Unfortunately, the guy that removed the cluster from the dash destroyed a lot of the plastics. So if I can just show you up here, this is the original cluster surround. You can see there at the top it's actually got a little bit of plastic broken out of it there, and the underside of it as well has a lot of the clips broken. So if I have a look here, we've got a clip missing from here. On this side we've got a clip broken here. So what we've done, because this was so damaged, we decided to bite the bullet and track down a replacement. So another one we got had a couple of these tabs broken, so they're being plastic welded back on, but it'll come back to us in as new condition. A couple of other things we've tracked down for the car as well. It had a aftermarket stereo system fitted in there, and of course they butchered the actual surround itself, the plastic surround. So we're going to be putting a Eurovox system back into the car. So we've got to work out all that wiring. We'll obviously get a replacement loom made up, because that one's been butchered pretty heavily. We've also got the center console itself appeared like it was ripped out, and where the screws are, so down the bottom there, in this section here, there's one there and one there. I don't think people realise that those screws are there, because we found 4 or 5 of those center consoles are actually just ripped off, and the plastic part of the center consoles are left behind, as were the screws, which is exactly the case in this car itself. So that's been tracked down, and a few of those things are being plastic welded. And if we have a look inside there, there's a couple of little brackets there for the computer. So we've got those, just need to work out how they fit on there properly, and they'll get fitted back inside there. The seats themselves are actually in half reasonable condition. We'll probably run them like this for the short term while we concentrate expenditure of money on other areas of the car. We've got a contact in Melbourne who's actually got some new old stock trim material for the VR, and he's offered that to us, so we'll have a chat to him when it comes to that stage and see if we can secure some genuine stuff. Obviously, when you're looking at a VR HSV, one of the telltale signs to see if it's original is if it's actually got the HSV Clubsport build number there on the dash, which this one does, build number 461. This car didn't come with a compendium, so we're going to get in contact with our good friend Andrew Purcell at HSV and arrange for a replacement to come for that. If we have a look though, the hood lining, except for a little bit of dust in it, it's actually in half reasonable condition, so that will probably just need a bit of a tidy up, a bit of a clean, and that'll stay the way it is. But realistically, except for where the level 3 cluster comes out, there's not a huge amount missing from the interior of the car itself. So once those parts come back, although it looks like a bit of a train wreck, it shouldn't take that long in order to put the interior back to the way it was before it would have been removed. So now we're just going to look at some of the parts we've got with the car. So the interior was obviously pulled apart to a certain degree, and obviously the engine bay was as well. So we've actually had to go through everything to work out exactly what we've got. Fortunately, the fuse covers are here, not in too bad a condition. We've obviously got the ignition module here, and we've got some of the ABS stuff as well. So all that stuff will be gone through, see what sort of condition it is. If it needs to be tidied up and re-zinced, then it will be. A lot of the engine bay stuff was in the boot. I've obviously given it some sort of categorization now. So we've got a headlight. It'll actually get new headlights, but the brake booster's in there. We've got oil coolers, and we've got stuff for the air conditioner in there. Some of the exhaust systems in the boot as well. Got the washer bottle as well. The OTR, so the HSV OTR, this is actually fitted with a Holden SS, one of the cheaper SS OTRs. This, I'm guessing, would have been the original for this car. As you can see, it's sort of beyond repair. It's had parts here cut off of it. Over here it's all cracked. So we've actually tracked down a replacement one of these. So that's at the crash repair at the moment. There was a little hole drilled in here, so that's been welded up, and he's going to be giving it a bit of a paint, I think, through here as well. I can't remember now, but this hole here I think was drilled out as well. So he's been able to redo that, re-plastic weld that section and get the texture back into it as well. The airbox itself is okay. It's in pretty good condition. Just needs to have some of the plastic work tidied up on it. We'll get these replacement parts here. They actually go through the bottom of where the air tray sits in the engine bay. It actually comes underneath and it bolts into place. They'll keep that all going. Power steering reservoirs here. So this will all be gone through at some stage. Things that need to be painted, or better yet, they'll probably be powder coated to have them back to as new as we can. The things that get powder coated will, as I said, all the screws that we could locate in it have been sent off to get repaired. We've still got some stuff in here. A lot of those were doubles, so a lot of that stuff there have already got redone, but there's a fair chance I'll send these off and get them fixed as well. We come into the other bits and pieces that are lying around for this car. We've got the electric aerial up and down switches, and you know what, they're actually not too bad a condition. It's got the VR indicator lenses. So the later VS ones are a clear sort of oval shaped. The VR are orange or amber coloured rectangle shape. Obviously got some decent ashtrays for it as well. We've got some surrounds for the steering column. A lot of these crack like that one has in there. So we've ended up going to a wrecker and actually got some decent ones here. They'll probably still need a bit of a tidy up, but we got some decent ones there so that we can put the best stuff we can into the car. The speed alert as well, that actually looks like it's fried, so we'll set about, hopefully, get a new old stock one of those, or one in very good second-hand condition. And all of these pads here, they'll all be cleaned up and put into the car, and they'll be in good condition as well. Okay, so now we're just going to move to the bodywork of the VR Clubsport. As we can see, this is obviously looking at the back end of the car. It's actually quite straight. One of the hard parts to get for these cars is also the 3-piece rear spoiler, so we're lucky that this car still has that intact without any damage on it. The garnish itself is in really good condition. A lot of the lugs that hold the garnish in place actually break, and although there's a bit of a gap in this garnish, I've checked them and all the lugs are all good, so that is one of the areas which won't need any attention. We've obviously got the little garnish tail light reflector in here. That's got a crack through here, and it's obviously got a crack through the actual tail light itself, so that will be replaced with brand new ones. If we look down there, it's actually got a pretty big exhaust system on it. It's actually got a big ball pipe on it, which I actually don't mind the look of it. It actually fills in that exhaust cutout area quite nicely. But the paintwork itself on the car is, it's just lost all its gloss. So we'll probably take the front and rear screens out and give this thing essentially a closed door respray. We've actually gone over the roof when we first purchased the car, because obviously having that front left hit, we're actually a little bit worried that it might have buckled the roof, and then obviously at that point we're actually probably better off wrecking the car than saving it. But this roof line was in really good condition. It was nice and straight, hence one of the reasons why we decided to buy the car. Looking down the door section as well, it's really straight. Up around the front door, there's a little bit of kinking right where they've tried to break into the car. There's a hole there just underneath the lock there, so someone's had a good go at trying to steal that. But the rest of the car is quite straight. Even looking back to the, there's a little bit of surface rust around there. There's a few dents near the fuel cap itself. If I can see, pick them up just there in that lower section there. There's some dents around there, and there's some rust coming in here. So they'll all benefit from, a decent rub back and prime and paint. So it'll come up hopefully looking as new when we've got the paintwork done. All these sections here as well. So all these black rubber sections, we'll obviously get those treated and probably painted in a black rubber paint. These little sections here as well, the little trims that go along here, they'll all be painted and gloss back, and that will then screw back onto there. Even if you look at the front end of the car, so it's had a hit from the front left, but you can see it's bent up through here. That section is bent. If we actually go on the inside of the car, you see that chassis rail, just through here, the actual rail itself is bent. Not sure if you can see that there. So it's got a bend there. It's also got some bends in through here as well. So it's had, it's had a reasonable hit, but nothing that can't be repaired. As I said, we've got the front cut, so we'll speak more with the crash repair when he comes here Thursday night, but we're expecting to probably be unpicked from the back area, and this whole sort of strut tower forward will all be replaced. Obviously you have to go on a chassis straightener and have the chassis tidied up on it, make sure it's all in alignment. I'll see if I can squeeze down this side. It's a little bit tight, but the whole passenger side is pretty good as well. The only damage that we could see is that the left rear passenger door has got a dent in it, but this car came with a replacement door, so that will go on it. As I said, it came with the guards as well. The bonnet is a standard Commodore bonnet. You can tell by the badge that's still on it. And then down on the ground here, we've actually gone and got the guard liners as well. We can't get those new anymore, so we got some really good second-hand ones. So they'll be rubbed back and probably painted in a matte black, so they'll look like new as they go onto the car. And then looking at the wheels, so these came with a set of 4 stockies, so we could roll the car around. But originally this thing would have come with probably a 5-spoke, or similar to the VP, but they're a 5-spoke HSV Clubsport wheel. We know that this car with a previous owner had a 5-spoke Senator wheel on it, so we'll post some photos of that. We got in contact with him through Facebook. He was able to send us through some photos of the car, so we'll post those up in this YouTube video so you can see what it was fitted with. But what we actually like is the retro 20-inch HSV Clubsport wheels. We think they actually look quite good on these cars. Our friend Matt Richter has a cherry black VS Senator fitted with the 5 spokes. I'll hopefully get his permission. I'll put a photo of that up as well. The cars look amazing with those, so that might be the day-to-day option, but we actually haven't decided that yet. So there we are. That's going through the slow repair of this car. What is hopefully going to happen is come Thursday, the crash repair is going to look at the car. He's going to give us some advice on to what parts he wants removed, but essentially it will be towed to his business. We'll have the front end replaced on it. All the hanging panels will go on to make sure they fit. Then we'll look at getting the engine sorted out, and we'll get all the ancillary stuff fitted to that. Once we've actually got it fired up and mobile, we can actually get it from place to place for its repair. So that's what we really want, because at the moment it's pushing it in and out of the shed. It's actually a little bit of a pain. So we want to get to a stage where we can actually hop in and fire it up. And then when we get to the stage of having a respray, we'll obviously send it in for that as well. So there's a few stages we're sort of ticking off the box. Rare Spares, they've been kind enough to start remanufacturing the scuttle panel plastic covers, so we can now fit some new ones to that, because I think the other options were some new old stock ones. And from a contact we have in Melbourne, he said that he had 2 of those new old stock ones, and when they fitted them to the car, they still cracked. So from all in all, the Rare Spares ones, apparently there's only a couple of things wrong with them which are easy to fix, and at least it gives us an option to fit something that will work. So there we are, guys. That's the latest update on HSV build number 461. The next update we should give you is from the crash repairer with the new front end on the car, and from there we'll pretty quickly hopefully get through the restoration and drive with this car. So we're quite excited to get this thing going. Obviously the VL's taken up a bit of our time to get that car fixed, but now that we're onto this car, it should go through pretty quickly. So hopefully, guys, I'll give you some more updates in the coming months, but stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching. See you later.